Hi, Phonetics. Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest, and you're going to love him. We have Jim Lichtenstein. He is executive producer, writer, showrunner of the Henry Ford's Innovation Nation with Mo ROCCA on CBS, and also Invention with ALIE WARD on the CW. I also want to mention real quick that he is a three-time Daytime Emmy Award winning producer and writer for his work on Innovation Nation, which led the show to 17 Daytime Emmy nominations since the series premiered in 2014. So let's welcome Jim to the show. Hi, Jim.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And did I pronounce your last name right? Will you please tell me if I did?
It's Lichtenstein, and Mo's last name is ROCCA, Mo ROCCA.
Mo ROCCA and Jim Lichtenstein. So I messed that up, like, I probably told him I would. So sorry, everyone, for pronunciation.
We'll survive.
We've got so many things to be grateful for, and we're so happy to be on the show with you. And where are we recording with you today?
I'm in my apartment in Studio City.
Oh, great.
California.
Yeah, and so
I just went for a hike, just did a 5-mile hike in Fryman Canyon nearby. And that's a great thing about living in Los Angeles. You can be outside no matter what. Because it never rains.
Oh, yeah, we're so lucky about that. But sometimes we need it. So I want to ask you, as a little kid, like, where did you start growing up?
I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in the frozen tundra of Chicago, and I lived there really all my life until 10 years ago. I moved to Los Angeles, and when I first moved out here, I moved out here in 2012, the second day of 2012, January 2nd, and it's been great. My daughters are all grown up women, and they have their own kids now. And when they got big enough, then it was time for me to come out here. That I knew I needed to be out here a long time ago, but I didn't really want to bring my daughters up out here. So they still live in Chicago.
Oh, wow. But and you tell me that when you produce your show, it's out in, is it Michigan? Did you say?
Well, we shoot all over the world. My correspondents shoot all over the world. But everything that I do with Mo ROCCA is done at the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit, Michigan. And the Henry Ford actually sponsors the show. And so what we do there is, like, you'll see Mo, all of his introductions to all the stories that I write for him, we do there. He will also, in every episode, there will be a historic innovation that usually features something at the museum. The Henry Ford Museum is really, it's like a Smithsonian. And it was interesting that, so when this show began in 2014, that the Henry Ford, people know the Henry Ford if you live in Michigan or in Ohio, or in Indiana, because it's was kind of a more of a famous regional museum. And then once we started doing the show, and we air in at least 80 countries around the world, it became a destination. And now they're recognized worldwide. Because again, we've been on the air, last Saturday, we actually just passed our 200th episode. And so when we're shooting there, people literally from all over the world come up to us and they're like, well, we're from the Netherlands and we saw the show, and so we had to come here. We're from South Africa and we had to come here because we saw the show, which has been amazing for the museum, which is really someplace that every family should go to, because it really is amazing. The innovations and inventions, and just the historic, items that they have there. I mean, they have like the chair like Lincoln was sitting in when something bad happened, and they have the limo that John Kennedy was sitting in when something bad happened. But they have the first helicopter. They have the courthouse where Abraham Lincoln used to practice law. They have the bicycle shop where the Wright brothers invented the plane, and their childhood home is like right next to it. That they moved like 100 years ago. Henry Ford like moved all this stuff there. Thomas Edison's lab that was in Menlo Park, New Jersey. Henry Ford had told him that he wanted his lab, and Thomas Edison said that it will always be on New Jersey soil. So he agreed to give it to him. Then they filled up 5 train carloads of New Jersey dirt to bring to the museum to build it on. So it's really a great place, and it's really we have a lot of fun making the show.
How big is that museum then? It sounds like it's huge.
It's massive. It's massive. There's 2 parts to it. There's the indoor museum, and then there's another section called Greenfield Village, which is like, all these historic buildings that they brought in from all over the world.
It's almost like a Disneyland park for people to go see inventions and really extraordinary facts about our history and world.
Actually, before Disneyland was built, Walt Disney came there to look at it, because there's a number of things that ideas that he took from there to make part of Disney World and Disneyland. But it's really, we've had a ton of fun making the show. We're shooting. We're in our 8th season. We're shooting our 9th season right now. We're almost done shooting our 9th season. And I'm about to go back to the museum in a few weeks to shoot more stand-ups with Mo.
Oh, that's incredible. And could you tell me, you said you had the most telly awards, like how many?
I know that. So just in terms of, we were talking about awards, there's the 3 Emmys, and we've had 17 Daytime Emmy nominations, and we have 20 last time I counted 27 telly awards, and I think it's 8 Parents' Choice Awards. There's a lot of different things that it's when you're fortunate enough to work on a show that has such interesting content and such amazing talent. Obviously there's Mo, but there's also, my correspondents are ALIE WARD, who is like the queen of science, and actually ALIE just last week won the Webby Award for like the best podcast host with her podcast Ologies. And I have another correspondent, Adam Yamaguchi, who when I first cast him, I thought, okay, he's like the Asian Anderson Cooper, and now he's also a correspondent now for CBS News. And we have Albert Lawrence, who came on a few years later. We just actually hired a new correspondent to be our 4th correspondent, Jax Trankita, who is also amazing, and she's been on my radar screen since we started the show 8 years ago.
Oh, and you, when we were talking, you were telling me about some of the inventions, and do you have like a couple inventions you can share with us, your favorite shows that you loved, like finding out, like, oh my God, they invented this, and you said there's a whole story why they invented the product, or
yes, typically when somebody invents something, they invent it for a reason. It's not just like, oh, I think I'm going to invent something. It's like they see a problem and they work to solve it. And some of the things that we've done, of note, like the Ring doorbell. The inventor Jamie Siminoff. We did him in 2014, and they were kind of in like a garage in Santa Monica. And he was told us the story as to why he invented it. And this is before it even went on the market. And then a few years later, he sold it to Amazon for $1 billion. And then there was another guy we also did in the same season 1. I wanted to do, in 2014, I wanted to do. It's amazing how much the world has changed. Because at the time, I wanted to do something on self-driving cars, and also at the time, the only company that was really like famous for it or like looking into it was Google. And we don't do big companies. I do like small inventors, something that I think is going to change the world. And so I didn't want to do like a Google, and Tesla didn't exist yet, or at least the self-driving Porsche didn't exist yet. And so I found a company called Cruise in San Francisco, and an inventor, his name was Kyle Vogt. And we went up there, and they had a module that you put on top of your car that's connected to a small computer in the back, and it basically turns any car into a self-driving car. And within a year of us doing that story, he sold his invention to General Motors for $1 billion, and we were literally in a garage with him. So there are so many things. We've featured, I think, about 800 inventors over the years, because we do 4 in every episode. And then there's, and I'm always finding new things. There's a story that I became aware of recently, an invention. It's called, I hope I get it right. It's called the LifeVac, LifeVac, LIFEVAC. And what it is a guy came up with a device to basically save the lives of people who are choking. It fits over the mouth. It's like a pump. You push it down and you pull it out. And if there is something caught in a child's throat or an adult's throat, it sucks it out of their throat. And when we went and shot it, they had a wall with like over 300 people whose lives they've saved already. And they sent us video, and it's like, if you Google LifeVac online, the video will make you cry, as there are, lifeless children that all of a sudden they use this, and then you hear their cries for the first time.
Oh, that's extraordinary.
I sent the video to like my daughter. It's extraordinary. And actually, we're shooting our 9th season right now, which starts to air at the beginning of October. I had it originally scheduled to air at the end of the season, and I moved it up to the first episode, because it's like, people will see this and it could save lives. The sooner I'm able to get it on. Unfortunately, right now, the season that we're in right now, that's done. I mean, we just shot this like a month ago. But it's just, I love finding stories that can change people's lives. And some of them are just fun. Some are just like cool, fun stories that it's like, some of them are like, why didn't I think of that? I mean, if you think of some of the inventions throughout history that were just like, why didn't, like, there were not wheels on a suitcase until after we landed on the moon. Literally, the year after we landed on the moon, someone realized, we could put wheels on a suitcase, because everyone was just like breaking their backs carrying around luggage at the time.
And now they have so many kind of fancy wheels, the ones that go around. And my mom goes through so many suitcases because she's older, and the ones that swivel and go back and forth. And I think I was telling you that, like, I remember in college, I was just like, oh, I would love to have like something to pull my dog with and like have wheels, but I didn't know how to invent it or how to go about it. So like, how did these people know how to go about it, or to even like, what do you do if you invent something?
A lot of them, also what we do in our show is like, in one episode a year, like the last episode of every season, we just take advice from all of the inventors about how they did it and what advice they have to give for other people. And the main thing is, ask for help. Other inventors are always willing to help you, and don't give up. It's like, dream big and don't quit. And just, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to tell you you're crazy. But if it's something that you believe in, and you're not crazy, if it's something that you believe in, just kind of keep going forward. Because you need to believe in yourself.
Yeah. And I wanna read, because like our episode of your podcast can go up earlier than your actual show. So do you want share with us? It's called, did you say it's a LifeVac is the one that helps with the choking? Is that what the name is, proper name?
Yes. It's called LifeVac. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check it real quick here. Yes. And it is something that every parent, when I first saw it, even before we did the story, I bought 4 of them. So yes, LifeVac. I bought 4 of them for my children, so they could have one at home and one in like their diaper bag. It's one of these things that like every restaurant should have these things.
Yes, I agree. I was thinking the exact same thing. Restaurants should have this.
Yeah, and because people choke, and choking's not a good thing, and And yeah, it's one of these things that I think is going to like change. Here's what it looks like very quickly. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, okay. So, but it like it
See, it's
operates
like the one.
almost looks like on the airplane, the
It's,
thing that you put over your mouth. They should even be an airplane,
yes,
and
it
it's pretty
does.
affordable. I
It
mean,
does.
it's not like it's not on like for an average person like or gig worker or alley worker. It's on I mean it's under 100, so it could be at least in a range that I think most people could save up for
Yes.
and get. I mean, I'm so happy it's not like over 100 because then it does make it harder
Yeah, I
for
think
the
it was like $68 or something. I
yes.
don't know. It might even be cheaper someplace. That's just the first thing that popped up. But
Life-saving
but
for
yeah.
moms and dads and parents with
Mhm,
babies and restaurants and airplanes where you're in the middle of nowhere that so that's what I love about inventions, things that truly are helpful, like no side effects, and like you don't have to put anything new,
mhm.
but like it can literally help someone that doesn't even know how to help someone. Just if they just had that, it's super easy to use as well, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. I mean, I think that I mean, obviously, it's saved at least 300 lives so far that they know of.
And it just came out,
And
right?
it I'm not sure when it's within the last few years. It's
Okay.
not brand new, but it's pretty new. It just came to my attention. I don't
Yeah,
remember where I saw it, but
so we'll get
yeah,
it out there
yeah,
because it's so important. This is
yeah.
your show is like amazing. So I want to do a little bit of fun thing. Like now, did you have anything
Uh
like
huh.
the gum inventors or any kind of food or something to drink kind of inventors on the show? Something fun and silly.
You know, we do fun and silly stuff. Um, we let's see, have we done gum stuff? I mean, obviously, I think we have. And again, like in our commercial breaks, we do something called the Mo and they're quizzes about more historic inventions. And I think we did something on William Wrigley, who came up with Wrigley's spearmint, whatever Wrigley's juicy fruit gum back in the day, and now it's like a massive conglomerate.
Me
Um,
too. All that sugar.
uh, exactly, but I mean, we've done like like accidental things, like talking about like remember Pop Rocks? There
Yeah,
was
when
that
every kid
candy that
like
would like blow up in your mouth. That
yeah.
was that was invented for like something totally different. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, we did that. Speaking of, we don't do a lot with candy, um, because on Saturday morning television, you try not to get to get cavities because of the show. So, but we've done like and those Mo we did like Twinkies, like when they were invented. Um, they were really invented because of a shortage of strawberries. So they had to. There was a company in Chicago, and that was making like strawberry shortcake, and but then like in the off season, they wanted to put something in there, so they came up with the cream, and it became Twinkies. So
So
there's a
good.
lot of
So
there's a
good.
lot of things.
So
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But
Remember when Twinkies went away for like a year, like
you're
2 years
like, "What?
ago?
No,
Like
I
like
even
the
have that." I
yeah.
have Twinkie boxes, you're gonna laugh, in, one of my children's books, Jack the
Yeah.
Bear and Goldenhair, the wolves of the queen, the evil Queen Menethia, that's one of their
Mhm.
snacks is Twinkies. So, I was like, "No, they can't go away."
Yeah, there's just so many interesting facts about historic things. And the thing when we do them is they're just like, it's just like a minute long and it's like multiple choice to get people to stay through the commercial break. Last week we just did one about diamond rings and like people buying diamond engagement rings. And that was not a thing up until like 100 years ago. And it was a marketing campaign that did it. The De Beers like diamond conglomerate, came up with commercials, basically ads, like to say that like diamonds aren't forever or whatever, and then people
Diamonds
started believing them, and now diamonds are diamonts. Before
yeah.
it was not that big of a deal.
It's like, yeah, I wish I had some diamonds. No, so your show is so fun. And like, where can they watch it? I know that we mentioned that ALIE WARD is on the CW. So also, your Invention Nation with Mo. ROCCA. Did I say it right? It's on CBS, right?
Yes, it's the Henry Ford's Innovation Nation, and it's on CBS. In most markets, it's on Saturday mornings. Here in Los Angeles, it's on at 8:30. I know in like New York and in Chicago, it's on at 10:30. And typically, we're like the number one show on Saturday mornings. So that's been fun too, to like have a lot of people watch.
Oh my gosh, so many more people are gonna learn about your show, and they're like, "I'm watching that show. I'm gonna be watching this show as well." But I have to go to my friend's house because you guys are gonna laugh, but I don't have TV. I mean, because I'm running 3 podcasts, which, I'm behind on Girls Guide to Investing. Sorry, everyone, but, Filmatics, we wanna just thank all our listeners here, and I also have my kids' podcast, Enchanting Book Reading, so I have to write those stories. I just
Hmm.
found out that I'm really helping a lot of the children in Ukraine and Russia, the parents, because I just hit #1 in Russia. So I go, sometimes what you're doing is so important because the kids out there need you. They
Hmm.
need those stories. So,
Sure,
and like,
sure, sure.
and your show is so fascinating. And I love inventions. I just love it. I mean, it's just mind blowing. And I want to just ask, can you share a little bit with like your journey, how you started? I know, and then we might go to part 2, but I just want to get like, how did you start? Like you were like, let's talk about your first favorite
I
TV show or film growing up, and then, like, how you moved on from there.
Well, I mean, in terms of growing up, I can't remember like a favorite. My all-time favorite would be Forrest Gump. Um, but I mean, I was kind of grown when I saw that one.
Life
But
is like a
when
box of chocolates, or life is like a, show about inventionation.
life is like a box of chocolates. In terms of how I got started in television, it was totally by accident. I had bought a car. I was 18 years old when I started working at ABC Television in Chicago as a courier, driving around film and tape and people, producers, talent. And it started when I bought a car from one of our someone in the neighborhood who was part owner of a car dealership. And a week after that, I said, if you ever need anything, let me know. A week after that, he called me and said, I didn't tell you this, but I also run the courier service for ABC Television, ABC News in Chicago, and he had a show, ABC sports show that is produced all of Saturday night. And he was like, somebody called in sick for that. Could you help me out? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. And so I did it. And then the next week, the guy that normally did it quit. And so he was like, if you want to do it, it's yours. And then it kind of grew from there. So I was started as like a driver, and then I became like a production assistant on that show. And then I started working for the news during the week. And then by the time I was 22, became what's called an assignment editor, which is the guy in the newsroom. This is at WLS TV in Chicago, which is the ABC station there. Also, where Oprah's like real TV show started too. And I was the guy with all the police radios on my desk, and like calling the camera crews and hearing plane crashes and sending people, and I had like a helicopter at my disposal, and so yeah, so I worked in news for a very long time in Chicago, and then I produced a talk show for a year, and then I made a TV movie, an ABC TV movie, Sunday night movie in 1996 about talk shows. Yasmin Bleeth played me. Veronica Hamill played the executive producer. Peter Scolari, rest in peace, played a talk show host.
That's
And
fascinating.
then yeah, I mean, it was great fun. And then TV movies kind of went away when reality TV started, and this was in like 96, 97. Things really started to cool down because they used to make a lot of TV movies. It used to be like 80 TV movies a year. If you remember, there was like the ABC Sunday night movie, the CBS Thursday night movie. There was a ton of them that doesn't really exist anymore. But yeah, and then what else did I do? Then I came back to news in Chicago. I was the managing editor in Chicago
Well, you were
at the CBS station.
wait, you were the
Oh,
producer on the Today Show. Was that before or after?
these were all before that.
Oh,
So
okay.
at CBS in Chicago, I was the managing editor. I was actually Lester Holt's managing editor before Lester went to the network.
Oh,
And
wow.
then and I went to the Today Show. I was at the Today Show for 10 years.
Incredible.
I
Gee.
ran 2 shows on HGTV, the Chicago versions of Design to Sell and Design on a Dime. I did that for a year. Ran the 2 of them, and just stuff here and there. And then I ended up on this show.
Oh my gosh. Like, and
Yeah.
how can you share with us a little bit, how you just, thought up the idea?
Well, this show was not my idea. This show, they hired me when I first got here. I was with the Today Show, and then after a couple of years, I was like, okay, when you work for the Today Show and you're traveling 100,000 miles a year, and you're in hotels like every night, at some point you're like, okay, I need a break from this. And so I told my agents that I needed a break from the Today Show and see if there was anything. Since I was in Hollywood, let me do the Hollywood thing. And this thing came up very quickly, and they hired me very quickly for this. And when they came to me with it, they said, it's a show about inventions, and we have MO ROCCA. And then they were like, here, make it. And it was actually very interesting because Saturday morning is kind of television is a different beast, and the company the original company that I produced this for was called Litton Entertainment. They were just bought by Hearst at the beginning of this year, but the CEO of Litton Entertainment came into town, and he took me to lunch at the Polo Lounge, and he explained to me how, like, what their research showed for Saturday mornings, and what like who's watching, who's not watching. And he's like, really, moms are like making like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for their kids' soccer game, so they're listening, but they're not necessarily like watching really, really closely. So just everything needs to be really clear. And I was like, oh, okay. And then a month before I was going to go shoot with Mo, I had written the entire first episode. And I got the CEO and the COO of the company, Dave Morgan and Pete Snyderman, on the phone. And I said, let's go through this, because I'm not necessarily doing it the way you're used to. And so let's read through this, because I don't want there to be any surprises. And they started to read it. And the way I write Mo is in Mo's voice. So there's like rhymes and puns, and like, it talks in circles a little bit. And as they were reading through it, they were like, oh, this isn't how we do it. And after about 5 or 10 minutes of them like hemming and hawing, I said, if you let me write it like this, I will win you Emmys. And they went, okay. And so now every time we win Emmys, they're like, remember when you told us? So,
yeah.
so
That's just incredible that
yeah.
like you had a gut instinct and you had a vision and a clear vision, and that's why the creator, like, you're the showrunner, but you have this creative genius of foresight. Do you want to come back for part 2? Because I'd love to keep talking. Do you want to do a little bit more? Or
Sure.
okay, so
Whatever works for you.
everyone, I'm coming back to part 2 with Jim Lichtenstein. Did I say it right? Lichtenstein. Oh my God.
Lichtenstein.
Do not have a dyslexic girl say that kind of a name. But we're gonna invite everyone back to part 2, because I just think that we have so much more fun to talk about, and I really love everyone to come back. Thank you everyone for listening, and coming back for part 2. Okay.